If only you knew the power of the dark side. The dark side is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. Once you start down the dark path, forever will it dominate your destiny. Such quotes perfectly describe the pure, evil-hearted Kaiser of the cosmos, the subjugator of stars. He's none other than...
As usual, let me rant about why movie scaling makes no sense. I'm contractually obligated at this point. Some fans like to assume that anime events may have occurred, therefore anime feats apply to the movies. However, Toriyama shoots this down by saying the movies work via multiverse theory. He validates the usage of guidebooks because it would have improved his writing during publication. Daizenshuu 6 clearly states it should take place before Frieza's defeat, but acknowledges the inconsistency of not occurring on Namek. This is true because if assuming the anime is canon to the movies, then Lord Slug is behind the Namek saga by a whole 3 years. After Shenron revived Goku during the Saiyan saga, 1 year had to pass for Dr. Kochin to grant his wish, another year to bring back a forest, and then 1 more year for Slug to regain his youth. Koyama agrees that while the movies were based on the anime timeline, there is a lag that explains all the inconsistencies presented in each film correlating to any saga. That's why anime scaling cannot apply to Lord Slug, since Koyama had to write these films in advance when he's not aware of Toriyama's intentions for the story's future scaling. True, Icarus appearing in the anime could allow a connection, but the guidebooks don't agree with its logic. Daizenshuu 7 acknowledges movie 1 and the filler arc as part of the anime timeline, but not Tree of Might, which introduced Icarus and was labeled as a movie event only, meaning either it is canon to movie 3 but not the anime, or it could connect to the anime but cannot scale to previous villains. There is no in between. Following this, people argue all 13 films are at least in a single timeline and scale upward. However, besides Cooler or Broly's film's continuity, Lord Slug lacks any concrete connection. An example, when Lord Slug read Bulma's mind, we see a brief shot of presumably Shenron during the Tree of Might. However, you could argue this was a recreation of when Goku's friends brought him back to life. Notice how Master Roshi has similar clothing and stature as Krillin from movie 3, relying on speculation and weakening the idea Lord Slug must automatically scale above Turles. Also, Koyama himself states Broly and Fusion Reborn are 2 separate stories within their separate realities. Not to mention, Koyama contradicted his villain scaling logic by having Broly reappear several times and labeling him as the strongest. Even Toei Animation at one point claimed Janemba was stronger than Hirudegarn. The arguments don't hold enough weight to be justified, but of course, even when allowing these assumptions, you'll find out how little it does to buff Lord Slug's power. Don't believe me? Then let's dive into Slug's entire journey to see what he's got. Right off the bat, Earth is in danger of being destroyed. A planet terraformed by Lord Slug to be his frickin' planet cruiser is hurling at them. Goku and Krillin quickly respond by flying above cloud altitudes in a few seconds, which is sadly one of their fewest speed feats, taking them about 5 seconds, and Cloud's going no further than 19,000 meters above ground level. They essentially are barely 10 times Mach speed. They are unironically slower than their counterparts from previous films that can travel longer distances more quickly. Due to Dr. Brief informing the cast that the planet cruiser contains inhabitants, Goku opted to change the planet's trajectory rather than destroy it, which might indicate him having planetary ranges of power. However, while Goku and Krillin failed, they impressively survived the shockwave, which crumbled several large buildings and erupted a volcano. To determine this feat, we pixel scale the size of the cruiser and see how much energy the shockwave produced based on its speed and mass. The cruiser's size fluctuates, but whether lowballing or highballing its size, it's anywhere between over 3 million to almost 7 million meters in diameter. For a size comparison, it's either smaller than Earth's moon or slightly bigger than planet Mars. Based on cinematic timing and pixel scaling, the cruiser travels incredible distances in around 3 to 9 seconds, going no slower but no faster than 1.9 to 3.3 million meters per second, potentially moving near 1% of the speed of light. Though if we assume it's traveling as fast as typical meters, they tend to reach anywhere from 11,000 to 17,000 meters per second just to bypass Earth's atmosphere due to to impact velocity, meaning if the cruiser did hit the Earth, it would generate anywhere from 10 to the 30 to 10 to the 36 joules, or small to large planet level of energy. More so leaning on the high-end calc, since we see a virtual simulation of how destructive the impact will be, violently fragmenting Earth into pieces. Although Goku was not directly hit by the ship, the shockwave is still dangerous. A good comparison is actual meteor airbursts. Most airburst output varies based on several factors, but they're still destructive as the actual impact. A better visual is the Chicxulub impactor asteroid that took out the dinosaurs and caused an airburst that reached around 1 through 2 million meters in radius, all caused by a 10 through 80-ish kilometer wide asteroid. The cruiser shockwave arguably equal its own diameter or more, as indicated by its dust tail, ultimately reaching 10 to the 30 to 10 to the 31 joules of energy or small planet level of power, just by the airburst as it passes through Earth's atmosphere, explaining why Goku and Krillin were knocked out for quite a while. Although lucky for them, the cruiser changed trajectory on its own, while Lord Slug internal ship lands on Earth and immediately starts terraforming Earth, due to the Demon Clan's weakness to the sun. They're basically all Discord users. It's low-key insane because the amount of energy to completely freeze all of Earth, including its hot inner core, requires around 10 to the 30 joules. Even freezing the planet's surface and oceans, as shown in the film, still requires 10 to the 28 joules of energy or multi-continental level, validating the cruiser count just through Slug's technology. No thanks to Gohan and Bulma, Slug discovers the Earth's Dragon Balls, ordering his men to locate them. In doing so, he successfully achieves eternal youth and his prime power. Meanwhile, Piccolo and Gohan challenge their fighters, and Piccolo is the only useful one to win. Gohan loses badly and forces Piccolo to protect him, but is saved by Goku. Thanks to Yajirobe giving him a sensu bean, Goku recovers and defeats the remaining enemies, forcing Lord Slug to appear. Goku claims he's never felt such ki before that could indicate his level of power or his evil nature. Slug casually pimp slaps Krillin away and then challenges Goku. Lord Slug believed Goku could have rivaled his old self, but not in his prime. It's visually proven when Lord Slug subtly uses his ki barrier that guidebook says users need to output 2 times more ki than any attack being negated. Goku gets destroyed badly that he says none of his techniques work on him. Slug casually eats his punch and continues bodying Goku. Just when Goku was about to die, he channels his hidden potential, introducing the Super Saiyan form. Nowadays, it's commonly referred to as false or pseudo Super Saiyan by the fanbase. Although technically true, it is the actual Super Saiyan form. Daizenshuu 6 labels it as Super Saiyan, and concept art acknowledges it as the first time it appears before Toriyama's official design, since the manga chapter of Super Saiyan's debut was some days after movie 4, and the original movie title was called Super Saiyan Son Goku. It's further elaborated in Daizenshuu 7 that Goku was unconscious during this state. Perhaps Goku was channeling the form in his base state instinctively. This concept is like how Super Goku can channel his god form in base, Broly using his grade 8 powers in base, or Goku's first usage of Ultra Instinct after a near-death experience. Plus, Vegeta in Super and Goku in both Z and GT showed hints of using the power of Super Saiyan in base form. I bring all this up because this can give Goku the official 50 times boost. Even with King Kai confirming the form usage, Lord Slug's prime power is enough to withstand multiple hits and not die. Slug simply laughs it off and responds by only now showing his true power, transforming into his great Namekian or giant form. Due to being born as a mutated demon nature Namekian, his power is so massive, King Kai believes not even Frieza or Goku's 50 times Super Saiyan multiplier could beat him. Also, Slug casually destroys a city block while fighting Goku, cause might as well acknowledge all of his feats, I guess. Slug nearly kills Goku, but thanks to Piccolo and Gohan, they stun him due to his sensitivity to the sound. I guess he is a Discord user. Piccolo gives Goku his energy that somehow was so potent, Goku goes Kaioken times 100, as confirmed by a weekly Shonen Jump magazine, even if it's removed from the final script. This was likely Koyama's original intent, since promo trailers have Goku verbally say it. Lord Slug was shocked by his level of power and got checked. Goku once again flies up above the clouds, unironically another speed feat that's relative to his previous calc, and Lord Slug reacts and grabs him after surviving the Kaioken attack. Perhaps one of the fewest instances Goku charges a spirit bomb using the sun, as King Kai said was possible, finally killing Lord Slug along with the machine, erasing all the clouds away and restoring Earth to normal. Of course, there is much more to learn about his power. Slug is labeled to be a Demon Clan member due to his pure evil nature since birth. As such, his evil ki supposedly heightens his power compared to Piccolo's reformed nature. Although this is put into question because Piccolo did say his giant form does not increase his power since it's just a bluff. However, there are abilities such as Gigantification that increases power by 10 times. Other forms like Grade 3, Super Saiyan, or Power Stress uses similar principles. It's possible Lord Slug just releases his full base power, or does get a power up from his giant form unlike Piccolo. Finally, promos question that Lord Slug possibly surpasses Frieza. It never specifies which form of Frieza though. This gets more contentious because if assuming that Lord Slug can scale above previous villains, then Lord Slug is weaker than Cooler. When he reached final form, Goku confirmed that he surpassed Frieza's max power after his defeat on Namek. Since Cooler succeeds Lord Slug, that means he's not stronger than final form 100% Frieza. Koyama further complicates the canonicity of Frieza's lore. You see, Koyama started writing the Bardock special way before Frieza was created, saying he ignores consistency between the special and manga continuity. This is important because Frieza's iconic feat is destroying the 10 times gravity planet Vegeta. Yet Koyama never considered its size or gravity when writing this scenario, labeling it as unnecessary data. That's interesting since it was well established about planet Vegeta's gravity thanks to King Kai. Since Tree of Might was written and released before the Bardock special, we don't know if Koyama accurately scaled Turles or Slug's power to Frieza when writing their scenarios. That is why it's hard to objectively place Lord Slug above Frieza in general when Koyama's intentions for the character's power and his knowledge of the series are questionable. Of course, Lord Slug possibly surpassing previous movie villains validates the feat calcs I presented. Previously, Dr. Wheelo can destroy a woodland area that on average was calced to multi-city block level, and only at full power, his Planet Geyser attack is confirmed by himself and guidebooks that it can destroy Earth. Next, Turles scales to the Tree of Might, which can generate multi-continental levels of energy to absorb all of Earth's oceans, making Yamcha believe it requires the destruction of Earth just to get rid of it, and that only through Goku's Spirit Bomb did he destroy both the tree and Turles. Finally, if assuming the Bardock special is canon to movie 4, then Lord Slug can at least scale to first form Frieza's AP that can range from 10 to the 37 through 43 joules, or the star level tier depending on Planet Vegeta's size and mass. Although technically you could hype up Lord Slug to beyond universal if he's stronger than frickin' Garlic Jr., who created a hyper-dimensional black hole through his ki. However, not even fans nor Koyama agrees with this interpretation, but it goes to show why the whole villain threat level progression is a convoluted argument that I don't agree with. Even using power levels don't work because for the manga, a power level of 10,000 is enough to be planetary, yet Dr. Wheelo and Turles had to reach the 40k to 300k levels to reach planet level in their realities. Granted, Lord Slug did survive against Kaioken times 100 Goku, who could potentially destroy his small planet cruiser in his base form. That gives us a 2 through 100 times multiplier from Old Slug to Prime Slug based on his ki barrier and Goku's transformations that could nicely bump him up within the planet to large planet level ranges. Lastly, Koyama believes Frieza is as fast as his spaceship technology, so Lord Slug's resources and similar caliber could buff his speed if acceptable. It's still not over because by the power of merchandising, Lord Slug's lore is expanded upon. Like most of the villain cast, Lord Slug appears briefly as a ghost warrior within plan to eradicate the Saiyans, presumably stronger than his real counterpart at least in this continuity, since yes, Koyama was shown in the credits to write the scenario and considers it within a separate continuity, not part of the movie scaling. He can still hold down Piccolo when weakened, but would be defeated with Gohan's assistance in all the versions. Following Following this, within the Tenkaichi series, they doubled down that Goku used Super Saiyan during his fight with Slug, but no distinction of the different design or name. One contentious detail is that the narrator states Lord Slug's power increases by 10 times after transforming. Whether this is true or not, this could mean Prime Slug was at least 5 times stronger than base Goku if his giant form was required to at least rival Goku's Super Saiyan level. Otherwise, we see Lord Slug defeat Piccolo and Gohan, correlating to his bio that he's stronger than Piccolo. His giant form bio also indicated his increased power due to his size. Other games like Dokkan Battle only have Goku state his power surpasses his henchman, and King Kai labeling him as a Super Saiyan just like in Tenkaichi 3. Past this, Slug gets a minor role in a Tournament of Time in Dragon Ball Legends. After the Protag Shala was taken under Whis' tutelage, he arrives on Earth and bumps into Nail, who nearly dies to Lord Slug. Shala intervenes and battles Slug, considering his base level enough to stop him. As Slug begins to lose, he powers up and achieves a Dark Ki form. Shala believes he can't win anymore, so he goes Super Saiyan, where Slug finally meets his match and decides to fleece. It is a bit vague how much Lord Slug compares to base Shallot. Way back before Shallot achieved Super Saiyan, his power was enough to rival Captain Ginyu's level, albeit with the help of Nappa. After several Zenkais and training, he faces the twin androids that they said were fighting at full power, and yet Shallot was not presented to transform, nor badly damaged after the fight. Afterwards, Shallot was rivaled by Ribrianne and his Super Saiyan 1 form when Gohan said he had enough power to reach Grade 4 and Super Saiyan 2 form. Ribrianne likely got stronger, if not at least more motivated than before, but Shallot's growth since then can face her power and base. Plus, he can handle Android 13 and 14, both rivaling if not surpassing the twin androids thanks to having more combat data to fight a stronger Shallot. Yet Shallot can still outmatch their power on his own. Slug returns later, battling the Universe 6 Saiyans, and gives them trouble due to their injuries and lack of energy. Sadly, he gets killed off by the combined attack of the Saiyan kids and Sun family. The last time we see him is an alternate version arriving to fight Kaba, but gets decimated easily. Other than being above Nail's power, without Lord Slug's Dark Ki amp, it's hard to give him a specific level in this continuity. Continuing with Xenoverse 2, Slug returns and gets recruited by 2 demons to cause havoc across time. Slug arrives during the Namek saga when Vegeta faced Dodoria. Before Slug acts, the player avatar intervenes and challenges him, forcing Slug to retreat just when future Trunks arrived. It's worth pointing out that Chronoa says Lord Slug and Turles are enemies not originating from the mainstream timeline, once again debunking any arguments that Lord Slug was part of the original storyline. Turles arrives on planet Namek when he tries to use the Dragon Balls to grant a wish, but Slug intervenes and argues with him. Soon the avatar challenges both fighters, and they then eat a demon-enhanced Tree of Might fruit to achieve their villainous mode. Secretly, Toa modified those fruits to enhance their power. Now, Slug achieves his supervillain mode. Unfortunately for him, he still dies from future Trunks and the Avatar. Slug does appear one last time during the Zamasu arc along with other villains, but gets taken out like normal. Thankfully, Lord Slug redeems himself by becoming a mentor during the Infinite History saga. The most broken buff ever, cause as your mentor, he can bully several characters throughout the Z and Super eras, eventually facing Demigra, the rival of Chronoa. The God of Time sustains an infinite multiverse via the Time Nest, and yet the Avatar during one event quest can defeat her in combat. Lord Slug assists the Avatar in defeating Demigra, who collapsed the 4D infinite Time Nest, as well as the Crack of Time that is located beyond the concept of time, meaning Lord Slug slapped a 5D if not 6-dimensional powerhouse, since the Crack of Time exists outside Universe 7 when Otherworld possibly dimensionally transcends the 4D living universe. All this happening in 0 seconds, since Slug was moving beyond infinite speed if time is non-existent in the Crack of Time. As an extra fun fact, Slug as your mentor states one cannot learn his techniques unless you possess some level of malice or fortified spirit as confirmation about his natural evil energy. Now we ended off by going through all of Dragon Ball Heroes. Ultimate Mission 1 and 2 still recreates his movie events, but King Kai states that neither Super Saiyan nor Frieza can beat Slug. For Ultimate Mission X, the only thing he does is battle Zeno Goten and gets an Evil Key power-up. He gets summoned by Demigra at one point and battles the Xeno Saiyans but loses as usual. Succeeding this is World Mission, where Lord Slug gets Majinized by Bibbidi and Bobbidi, a limit-breaking form first presented in the arcade known as King of Destruction. In another sub-story, Kagyu, a Heroes player, is on a mission to stop Zeno Slug from conquering Earth. Piccolo arrives to assist the hero, but a time anomaly diffuses the Namekian into the three fusees. Thankfully, Zeno Slug gets defeated, but a demon god named Celsa arrives and gives him an amp, transforming into his infamous giant Zeno form. Even with this amp, Kagyu and the Namekian successfully kill off Zeno Slug. As to why Slug gets this form, basically in the storyline of Super Dragon Ball Heroes, Zeno Slug merges with a Dark Dragon Ball that enhances his powers, thanks to the Demon Empire manipulating Zeno Dende to create them. In the manga, and to some extent the arcade, Zeno Trunks and Zeno Gohan face Zeno Slug by taking advantage of his weaknesses. Their battle gets interrupted by the demon gods and Zeno Buu. Out of necessity, Towa amps up Zeno Slug, going into his weird giant form. Due to his power, both Zeno Saiyans decide to fusion dance, transforming into Zeno Gohanks. Despite gaining a fusion multiplier, their attacks were not strong enough to damage Giant Slug. Though his power is hard to specify, his speed is legit insane, because these Xeno Saiyans can move inside realms where time doesn't exist and challenge demon gods that could time travel through their sheer travel speed. Ultimately though, demon god Celsa was the one who defeated Slug in the manga version. Afterward, his Ghost Warrior counterpart briefly appears during the Universe mission arc and challenges future Trunks and Cooler, though the machine that summoned him gets destroyed, erasing Ghost Slug away. He technically appears in the arcade for the Big Bang mission arc, battling the Capsule Corp Saiyans in Hell, but was not even acknowledged by name and loses. Finally, Slug appears during the God Mission saga, battling Android 13 and Captain Ginyu in the manga version. Then late into the arc, Demigra arrives and summons previous enemies, with Slug coming back since he got killed off screen. In the manga, Zeno Goten and Super 17 battles Lord Slug, getting beaten up by the duo only to get a similar evil key form like the Ultimate Mission games. As of the release of this video, we don't know the outcome of the fight, but he will likely lose. That is all we can say about Lord Slug. Overall, Slug's power is still impressive for DBZ villain standards. When it comes to his movie scaling, his lore is the main bulk for his stats since his feats are kinda lacking. Lowballed, he's for sure small planet level since Goku can survive the cruiser shockwave and could have likely destroyed Slug's ship that would have destroyed Earth. Not to mention he can terraform planets through his technology. Mid-balled since Slug can still stand up against a likely 50 times Super Saiyan Goku and survive a times 100 Kaioken attack, his full power compared to base Goku would jump considerably. As such, he can go to large planet level nicely. If you do believe Slug scales beyond first form Frieza's level, who can destroy planet Vegeta, then highballed, he's within the high tier star busting level, peaking at large star level. Lord Slug could be placed higher, but if he's questionably weaker than Cooler, who's officially above Frieza in general, and Koyama statements make the comparison just as vague, it leans more on headcanon to have him placed higher. Otherwise, Lord Slug seems to be within the high tier planetary to low tier stellar ranges of power. His speed also leans on lore support than on feats. Lowballed, he's hypersonic speed since he scales to Goku or Krillin. Either of them easily travels past cloud altitudes in seconds that they can use during combat. Of course, mid-balled, he's for sure massively hypersonic speed. Simply stacking the 50 through 100 times multiplier onto Goku's lowball speed can still place him at such level that Slug compares to. Lastly, his highballed scaling places him to massively FTL+. Since Koyama did say Frieza is as fast as his spaceships, and Slug has similar technology, if not outright surpasses Frieza, then by lore he can be way faster than what was shown in his film. As a side note, if his cruiser was moving beyond light speed and hitting the Earth, that would bump up the cruiser calc for his AP if that line of thinking is acceptable, but I won't argue that must be the case. His game scaling is straightforward across the board. Slug is presented to be above first form Frieza level since they're comparable to each other in some capacity. Arguably, Arguably, Slug is stronger than Super Saiyan Goku or 100% Frieza if you hype his lore to surpass Namek Saga characters. If you hype up his other variants like his Ghost Warrior or Legends counterpart, he could rival the androids to possibly even Cell Games era characters, especially if allowing his Majin or Dark Ki forms. Then finally, Slug's Heroes and Xenoverse scaling is broken, as is everyone else in either series. Considering his infinite history and Dark Dragon Ball counterpart can rival Xeno Saiyans and gods that can collapse in infinite 4D constructs, he's for sure Multiversal Plus downplayed. But since the DB cosmology go beyond 4D due to the lore of the other world potentially being 5D, the crack of time, and the existence of the real world, he's more so consistently at complex multiversal mid-bald. High-bald he peaks at the 9th dimension or high complex multiversal, since again, the DB cosmology is crazy in Heroes. However, given the lack of actual W's for Xeno Lord Slug, he's probably not that OP compared to other villains I've talked about before like Janemba or Turles, but there is enough evidence to suggest that is the case regardless. Then for his speed, even nerfing most of Xenoverse and Heroes lore, he's downplayed to massively FTL+. Though mid-ball, he's more accurately at infinite to inaccessible speed since Slug bullied Demigra in a round with no time. High-balled, he's immeasurable speed since it's indicated in the arcade and by lore that the demon gods can travel back in time just by travel speed, and Xenoslug can rival the Xeno Saiyans, who rival said gods. Although this might only apply when allowing his Dark Ki buffs, and is probably not possible in his normal state, though that's up to you to decide. Overall, while Lord Slug is powerful, he is lacking in terms of development as a character. He's given little possibilities beyond his initial concept of being another evil King Piccolo, which stagnated his growth and popularity. Still, should he ever return with better material, perhaps he can outshine even Orange Piccolo. It would be a funny flex too if he proves his lore right by beating up Black Frieza, though that remains to be seen. But what do you think of Lord Slug? Would you like him to return, and how strong do you think he is? Very curious about what people have to say about Lord Slug. Another shout out to the boys who helped with source translations and research for Slug's power. The link is in the description for their socials. That's all for me in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. More Scaling Insanity content is in the works, so keep on the lookout. Until then, hope you're doing well and take care out there. Peace out.